All right, we're starting now our 10-minute power class. We are on Facebook, we are on YouTube, and we are on Zoom. Okay, so today is an incredible and a very happy holiday. I just want to start with today's Hayom Yom, which is from the Rebbe, a teaching from the Rebbe. So the Rebbe writes that Lag BaOmer was one of the Mittler Rebbe. The second Chabad Rebbe was the Mittler Rebbe, was one of his particularly favorite holidays. And the Mittler Rebbe, he and the Hasidim would go out to the fields on Lag BaOmer, and they didn't wash for bread and break bread, but he did partake of mashke, which is alcohol, which is a strong drink. He normally wasn't allowed to do this for health reasons, and the Rebbe writes that many wonders were seen at that time, most of them involving the blessing of children for childless couples, and all year long people waited for Lag BaOmer. In other words, Lag BaOmer was a very, very happy day. The Rebbe was particularly fond of it. It was amazing. The Rebbe actually made that people should have parades and they should be dancing on the streets. Like the Rebbe made a big deal out of it, and he actually said that Rashbi himself, Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai himself, is dancing on the streets with the children, and we should all go be there with Rashbi. So today I just want to point out there's two reasons why we actually celebrate today's holiday, and there's tremendous and meaningful lessons from them. So first of all, one reason why we celebrate Lag BaOmer today is because there were 24,000 students of Rabbi Akiva, and there was a plague during this time in Sfirat HaOmer, and they started dying in the beginning of the Sfira, and they stopped dying on Lag BaOmer. Lag BaOmer, the plague, the terrible, terrible plague died, and they stopped dying. How many students of Rabbi Akiva died? 24,000. So if you divide 24,000 into 33 days, that's an average of 727 students a day. That's a terrible, terrible, terrible plague and disease to have 727 people die a day. Now, they stopped dying Lag BaOmer, which is one of the reasons why we celebrate Lag BaOmer. Today's an incredibly happy day. Today's a day for tremendous blessings, tremendous powers. We don't say Tachnun, it's a full-on Yom Tov. Now, what happened with these 24,000 students? Why did they die? So the Talmud says, Lo nahagu kavod ze bazeh, they didn't have enough respect and love for each other. Now, what does that mean? Rabbi Akiva was the founding father of the principle Ve'ahavta le'ri'acha kamocha. Rabbi Akiva omer ze klal gadol v'Torah. To love a fellow Jew is one of the greatest principles in the Torah. Rabbi Akiva was the person who taught this. He taught this to his students. So surely his students that absorbed everything that he taught them, surely they would love and respect one another. And the answer is that there's a fine line between love and respect. You see, Rabbi Akiva's students loved one another so much. Each one understood the teachings of their master, of Rabbi Akiva, differently. And because they understood the teachings of their master differently, that is why they wanted that each other students would understand the same way he does. So let's say student X understood in a certain way, but student Y understood in a different way. So student X wanted that his fellow student should understand the same way I do. Right? I understand in a certain way, I'm right. So because I love you so much, I want you to understand the same way I do. So they basically loved each other too much, and here is the fine balance between love and respect. You see, when you're in a relationship, with your spouse, with anybody, your son, with your daughter, with your father, with your mother, there has to be two aspects. Aspect number one is love. Of course, you have to love your spouse, your child, everybody. But aspect number two is respect. Respect is giving them their privacy, giving them their boundaries, giving them their space. Right? If you can't suffocate somebody with love, you love them so much, you want to be with them 24/7, you'll choke them. You have to respect them. Respect their boundaries. Allow them to thrive and grow the way they need to. On the other hand, if you respect somebody, you have to love them as well. And the classic example is, imagine you have somebody who you respect, your teacher. Your teacher's about to jump off a cliff. So you respect them, but if you don't love them, you're not going to stop them from jumping off the cliff. No, you have to respect them, but you also have to love them and stop them from jumping off that cliff. So relationships is all about finding the correct balance between love and respect. Yes, I have to love, but I have to respect, respect, respect. And this is the message of Lag BaOmer. Reason number one, they died, the 24,000 students, 727 students a day, is because they didn't find this balance. They loved each other too much, but they didn't respect each other. Yes, you have a different opinion than me. I respect you. I love you, but I respect you. Your opinion is different than mine. That's okay. That's fine. As Jews, we have so many different opinions. We can love each other, but respect each other. Your opinion is different than mine doesn't mean it's wrong. It means you understand differently than I do. In today's day and age, the coronavirus, God willing, will also end. Today on Lag BaOmer, may we have no more coronavirus, just like the 24,000 students of Rabbi Akiva stopped dying today.
Amen.
The other reason, the other reason why we celebrate today Lag BaOmer is because Lag BaOmer is the passing of Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai, which I'll explain in a minute. By the way, the story is told of Reb Zusha of Anapoli. Reb Zusha of Anapoli, there was a rabbi in his town who was the local rabbi, and the rabbi in his town was always depressed, always upset. And Reb Zusha was always happy. He was always happy. So one time in the middle of the night, the rabbi came to Reb Zusha's house and he told him, Reb Zusha, tell me the secret. How are you happy all the time and I am not? How is that possible? So Reb Zusha said, let me give you an example. Last week there was the wedding of Reb Mottel's daughter. Reb Mottel was the local philanthropist in town, like the richest guy in town. So I was given an invitation and you were given an invitation. Let's compare how it worked. So you were given an invitation. When the guy came to invite you, you saw your name was number 14 on the list. So you said to yourself, how dare this happen? How dare they put my name number 14 on the list? I'm very upset about this. I'm going to show them. So I'm going to arrive late. So you arrive late to the wedding and then you demanded the respect that they seat you in the front row. Front row was already taken because you came late. So then you had to sit in the second row and you were so frustrated and so upset. When the waiters came to serve you, you were like, how dare they not serve me first? I need to be served first. So you were frustrated and upset and depressed the whole wedding, all because you thought that everything should come to you. You weren't given a blessing. You were only given one of the last blessings at the end of the Birkat Hamazon, one of the last honors, and you were so upset about that. Said Reb Zusha, me on the other hand, I got an invitation to this wedding and I'm like, oh my God, they invited me, Reb Zusha? Like, I'm a nothing, I'm a nobody. So I went 2 hours early because I was so excited that I got an invitation. I came there 2 hours early and I offered my services. I said, can I help in any way? I'm willing to clean. I'm willing to do anything to prepare for this wedding that I'm invited for. So they said, you know what, why don't you perform the ceremony? So that's what I did. I performed the ceremony because, and all this while, where did I sit? I sat in the front seat because that's what they told me to. But Reb Zusha said, the key to happiness is where you don't think you are owed anything. The key to love and respect is where you don't think life evolves around me. How do I even deserve this honor? As the Mishnah in Pirkei Avot said, those who chase after honor, honor runs away from them. But those who run away from honor, honor goes to them. And that is the secret to balancing love and respect, where you don't think you are deserving of anything. I'm not deserving of anything. God is the one who endowed me and loved me and showed me my way, so now I'll fulfill my duty. So the other reason why this holiday is called we celebrate today is because Rashbi, who was the founding father of Kabbalah, passed away today. Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai said on the day that he passed away, he actually revealed some of the most esoteric secrets of Kabbalah, the deepest secrets and mysteries of Kabbalah he revealed on this day of Lag BaOmer. By the way, Rabbi Akiva, after having 24,000 students destroyed, killed, he felt like 24 years he had worked for these 24,000 students. He thought, what should happen? He should be depressed and unhappy. He should give up. Not Rabbi Akiva. He went, got up, and found 5 new students with which to re-establish his whole empire. And he taught these 5 students Torah. And from these 5 students, the Torah continued to the next generation. One of these students was Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai, who many, many years later died on Lag BaOmer. So it says about Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai that his passing is Behilula Damya. Today is like a wedding day. The day he died is like a wedding. Why is it like a wedding? Because a wedding has 2 opposites. You see, when a man and woman get married, they are limited. Suddenly, I have to be responsible for when I come back home, when I leave. I have to be responsible for what I do, when I do, how I do. Suddenly, when I am married, I can no longer do what I want, when I want, how I want. So number one, a wedding is very limiting. But on the other hand, only through getting married can you accomplish something which is the most unlimited thing in the world, having children. Having children is something that lasts forever and ever and ever, right? Buildings that we build don't last forever. Everything else that we build doesn't last forever. But a wedding, so even though on the one hand it's limiting, on the other hand, you accomplish something eternal, which is having children. The same thing is with life. When the soul enters the body, it's very limiting. The soul wants to be divine and wants to have spiritual pursuits, but the soul is very limited in this body. But on the other hand, what the soul can accomplish in this body is something that no soul on high can accomplish. Like the Mishnah says, Yafet sha'a achat b'tshuva u'ma'asim tovim ba'olam hazeh mikol chayei ha'olam haba. 1 hour of doing a mitzvah in this world is worth more than anything else in paradise. In other words, when the soul does a mitzvah here, it reaches the deepest recesses and the deepest levels of Yiddishkeit, of godliness, that it can possibly accomplish. So on the one hand, just like a wedding is limited, but you become unlimited, life in this world on the one hand is limiting, but on the other hand, it's the most unlimited thing in the world. And that is what Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai taught us on Lag BaOmer. That you could live in this world, but you could accomplish the greatest feats, the greatest, most beautiful, sublime pursuits can be accomplished in this world. And that is why it's called Lag BaOmer. And that is why today is such a joyous, happy, beautiful holiday, which we are so happy and we don't recite Tachanun.